So I really don't think we have a cultural issue with making peace with, the uncertainty that lives in the unknown. I think we're culturally more adverse to clarity that we've confused as confrontation. I've just been thinking about how long we stay in cycles, patterns, relationships, jobs, situations, ideas, dreams, you name it, because we are unwilling to ask the question that ultimately sets us free or asks more of us or allows us to step into the fire of clarity in our lives, in our own lives. Throughout community building and care work, and online interactions, all of the things, I am constantly made aware of how much outsourcing that lives within not just our language, but the ways that we speak of one another, speak over one another, to one another, the ways that we enmesh our experiences through other people or through limerence there's this avoidance of taking accountability of your own life or taking accountability in a way that reminds you of your autonomy in a world that is constantly stripping you of it. So none of this is to blame one another for the ways that we relate to our world, because it is also our programming. But I guess this adds on to a little bit of what I shared about intimacy in my last reel. I feel intimacy is into me, I see. So through your ability to ask the question, ask yourself the question, ask the other person, the job, the need, the curiosity, it is brave to allow yourself to see yourself in that light, not just to propose a question that might ultimately change the direction of your life or the direction of a relationship, partnership, through work, etc. But it is also very intimate to see yourself in a way that you trust yourself on the other side of that clarity to honor your need all the way through. Now we can get, of course, into like insecurities and all of the above, but it's we only build that strength or that backbone by leaning into it more, by moving through the discomfort or the uncertainty in people pleasing of, well, if you say no to this, then I will be forced to do A, B, C, D. And not like in an ultimatum way, but like in a, well, this has to change now, or like, not that it has to change, it changes because of your ability to step into that fire of clarity. So back to being able to trust yourself on the other side of that. If I ask, with this raise or like with this, promotion, is there a raise? Like risking that question, knowing that if there's not a raise, then you are in a position where you have to make a decision of whether or not you choose that or lose the foundation that existed prior to that moment. If you're in a relationship that is more like a situationship or is forcing you to look at a pattern you are desperately wanting to break, and you ask the question, what are your intentions? Or you ask the question like, is this mutual? Or whatever it may be. And hopefully that person meets you with the same level of intimacy, or at least intimacy enough that they don't meet you defensively and can give you an honest answer and not what they think you want to hear, or also reading the cue of, oh, well, if I say this, I know that you won't stay. Most of the relationship dynamics we get into that don't fulfill us run on that cycle of people pleasing or just avoiding. And the same thing with like work, or like in my situation, like care work, like I can be aware of what you're telling me and I can see what is in front of me. And it is up to me to move accordingly, or at least know whether or not a client or a student is in right relationship to me, or like if we are congruent for one another. And I'm also thinking about like the relationship to ourselves, really, because that's what this comes down to. Is our ability to be honest with ourselves so we can be honest with others, right? So I'm asking myself right now, like, is this what I want for me? Or what do I want? Where am I going? And I have to be honest about who I am to figure that out, right? So yeah, I don't feel that we have a cultural fear of uncertainty or the unknown. We have a cultural fear of clarity and being asked to be in coherence with it. I hope you take this as a loving reminder to step back into your own agency and surprise yourself once in a while. Praxis becomes through practice.